of talk this week about Tyson Fury potentially becoming a WBC franchise champion. Can you clarify this statement?
We have not received any communications, any requests, any specific regarding Tyson Fury. Fury is the WBC heavyweight champion, and I believe he's got a commitment to fight Wilder on the third fight. And of course, there's the mandatory commitments for the mandatory defense. But there's too many things going on. Everybody's talking, but we do not rule on media. We do not rule on things that are said indirectly. We can only manage what is channeled through the proper means, which is direct communications. And the WBC has not received any communication with these regards. However, I'd like to point out that the franchise designation is a new concept that has a specific guidelines, and it is to have the intention to provide the fans with the fights that they want to see, to provide.
Those are the words from Mauricio Sulaiman. And Mauricio pretty much verified that despite Bob Arum talking about Tyson Fury or threatening to have Tyson Fury being reinstated or being promoted to a franchise champion, if Dillian Whyte keeps up persisting for a particular fight, a fight that he deserved. So Mauricio said some pretty good news where he hasn't heard anything from anyone else. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Bob Arum is just talking, okay? He was just suggesting, he was just warning, he was threatening Dillian Whyte, like, hey, you keep fucking around with me, I'm going to get Tyson Fury up above your high pay grade. He's going to be a franchise champion. Him. So this verifies it. He hasn't heard anything. He's saying a lot of people are talking. They're talking too much. They really need to understand until they talk to me, which I am the person that's in charge, supposedly, of things being elevated to franchise status, rather. You shouldn't worry about it. However, what he did say after that was kind of retarded. It was retarded. Oh, well, the franchise champions was a new concept to be created to have the fans see the best fights possible. I don't know what the Hades he was talking about with that, because that makes no sense. In fact, what have we seen because of a franchise creation of this new concept? Oh, let's take a trip. Okay, let's start with Lomachenko. Lomachenko had, he's fighting Teofimo Lopez, cool, but who could he have fought before then? Devin Haney. He could have fought Devin Haney, which Devin Haney versus Lomachenko is also a good fight. So that fight didn't happen, right? And it caused, just because he was WBC, it caused a lot of confusion in the matter. Let's move on to middleweight. Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, his mandatory was Jermall Charlo. Okay, that fight didn't happen. Jermall Charlo got the belt, the WBC regular, super regular belt, and Canelo was elevated to franchise champion. So what did that mean? That means Canelo did not have to fight Jermall Charlo, his mandatory. Why do you think Bob Arum is threatening to do what he said he's going to do? By Mauricio Sulaiman, he hasn't done it yet, but why do you think he's threatening that? Because he knows what it does and what it means for someone to be elevated. That means if you can get elevated, the guy that's pursuing the fight, they'll just give him the belt besides actually making the fight happen. So in essence, what Mauricio Sulaiman is saying makes no sense. It's actually the opposite. The opposite is these guys are getting elevated to franchise status to avoid fights, not the other way around like Mauricio is trying to explain or lying. Right? That's what I see. But let's move on, because there's some good stuff here.
the opportunity to see the fights that everyone wants to see. And I'm very happy with Canelo and Lomachenko being the franchise champions of the WBC, to allow them to move in different weight categories, to allow them to fight champions, to fight the fights that really mean, and the fights that the fans want to see.
Mauricio, as you mentioned, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder are contracted to a third fight, which we expect to be around November, December time. So therefore, considering Fury and Joshua have done a 2-fight deal, if Joshua and Fury win their next 2 fights, that's them done for 2021, their 2 fights. So where does this leave Dillian Whyte and his WBC shot?
Can you please clarify the last?
Yeah, I'll clarify this. So, of course, Fury has to beat Deontay Wilder. Anthony and Joshua has to beat Kubrat Pulev for that Fury-Joshua undisputed fight to be made next year, right? Which has been agreed on financial terms. But Dillian has got a WBC shot by the end of February next year. So if Joshua and Fury fight twice next year, where does this leave Dillian Whyte?
No, we are not familiar in any way on the terms for anything other than Tyson Fury having Wilder as his next opponent because of the contract they have, and then we have a mandatory contender. We have not received any communications whatsoever from the promoters. That's where the WBC stands right now, and we will wait to see how we are in the middle of a pandemic. We don't know the activity, when it will start. We're going to address every single weight category independently, and we will address the matters that have to do with that weight division. It's not the same to look into Tyson's Fury situation other than in the minimum weight, the champion from Thailand. So every weight division will be addressed separately, independently, and the WBC will rule with the facts on that specific weight category, the conditions of the countries where the fighters have to do with that regard, and then we will address it accordingly.
Yeah, I appreciate we're, as you said, in a pandemic, so it's hard to, look at the future. But, Top Rank have just done a show recently, so you could say...
Okay, so Mauricio basically doesn't know really what's going on with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. He just verified it. He went to talk, he didn't ask you about any of the weight classes. He just said we're in a pandemic, so we basically don't know. Okay? It's Tyson Fury. If he does him, then he has a mandatory. So, but according to this, he doesn't know when that's going to happen. So what does that mean? That means that that particular February 22nd date will be changed due to natural disaster, which we are in the coronavirus pandemic. That's what he's saying, okay? But he doesn't know. And another thing, just like he doesn't have anything to do with, he has nothing to do with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury Part 3, just like he will not have anything to do with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. You follow the money. I keep telling you guys the same claim. You follow the money each and every time. That's what's going to be the king and trump everything else. Whether it's an undisputed fight or a mandatory fight, it does not matter. Okay? The money will matter. And what Mauricio's doing is something to cover his ass. He's saying the right things so people won't say, whoa, 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 whoa. He's just saying, hey, I haven't heard from Bob. Right? As of yet. But I haven't heard from him, so no. He has the contractual agreement to fight Wilder, Fury does, and he has Dillian Whyte. Okay, and the bad thing about this is, well, this happened before. This was a few days ago. But Mauricio was saying, oh, well, Dillian Whyte will get his shot. So a lot has transpired since then, and I feel Mauricio Sulaiman has a lot more to clear up now because a lot has changed. Okay, Tyson Fury has said, you know what? I don't have to fight Dillian Whyte. I'll drop the belt before I do that if you're going to make me fight this guy. That's what he said out of his own mouth. But anyway, that's Mauricio Sulaiman's comments. You tell me what you think about his explanations. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.